Security will always have priority over convenience. Therefore, if you are requested to cooperate with event
He's going to take it himself for a championship. A double play wins it the Fraser.
Started to the end zone. What a catch. The Cotton touchdown.
Into the layup goes at the buzzer.
Volusia wins it. The championship.
zone. Never intimidating.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kyle Smith, along with Michelle Tantillo, as Perspectives Leadership is about to take on Bradley Bourbonnais. Here are some stats for you, by the way. I know we teased it coming into this game. Perspectives is 21-0, but not just that, Michelle. They have 11 shutouts.
Wow.
But here's the interesting part. They've only played one team from the suburbs, and that was in Burbank, which is basically in the city. That's St. Lawrence. Now, do we consider Bradley Bourbonnais a suburb of Chicago?
I don't personally, but I don't know, where their playings has played either.
So Bradley Bourbonnais, they have two losses. They got dominated by Yorkville 27-0, and they lost to Ridge Park. How about this for a game, Michelle? 42-32, which is really interesting because it's running clock.
Yeah.
So clock does not stop on a touchdown like it does for the boys.
All offense on that one.
Yeah, defense optional, or maybe defense non-existent. But here we go. It's Perspectives Leadership. Now, when you play a team that's from the quote-unquote suburbs in Bradley Bourbonnais, does that get the perspectives at all, knowing you played mostly Chicago teams and now you have to prove your worth in the suburbs? You're playing in Villa Park for the quarterfinals. You're undefeated, but most of it has been against Chicago public teams.
It's just a matter of how really the season has turned out for them. There's definitely some plays that we've noticed in my coaching from the schools, the city schools versus the suburban schools that have popped up, and so it'll be interesting to see how both teams are able to react to how they play against each other. I don't think that there's an advantage or disadvantage either way. It's just a matter of how quickly a team can adjust to what they're seeing against them.
So Perspectives 21-0, Bradley Bourbonnais 16-2. For Bradley Bourbonnais, knowing that not only can you go to the semifinals, but you can also knock off an undefeated team. Does that matter to you at all if you're playing for Bradley Bourbonnais? Are you just focused on, we don't care how, but we got to win this game to go to the semifinals?
You just focus on the win. You don't focus on all those other things, because in the end, all that matters is more points than the other team.
At this point, survive and advance, right? Jim Valvano said it best. We're going to talk about the rosters for Bradley Bourbonnais and Perspectives. For Bradley Bourbonnais, it is a very experienced team. They just have one freshman, but the key is it's their quarterback, the freshman QB, and Elise Munsterman. Meanwhile, for Chicago Perspectives, they have a couple of freshmen, Zariah Anderson, Kayla Green, and that does it for their freshmen on the team. So both teams with some experience. It became a high school sport, did flag football 3 years ago. There were 21 teams in the Chicago Public League, and then after that it's expanded. We had 154 teams that all played in the regionals. Now we're down to what started off today is 8. One got eliminated, so now we have less than 8. As moving on is Fremd. That was a fun game. If you didn't watch it, hit the rewind button, click on the link. Fremd was up 12-0, and then 13 unanswered points by Evanston. And it looked like Evanston was going to win the game because, remember, there's no field goals in flag football. But the safety forgot where she was, and the wide receiver for Fremd went right by her, and that was a touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion and a 20-13 game. We got 3 more games. I don't know how we can get better than that finish. But for perspectives, you're in the quarterfinals, and at this point, you really want to go 24-0 because going 21-0 and then losing today, look, it's a fun season, but you'd love to play tomorrow for the third-place game and, of course, the semis to see if you go to the championship game.
Correct. Sometimes that's where it's scary. That are you holding on just to keep winning, or are you holding on because of your record, undefeated? Either way, end of the season is coming soon, and it's going to hurt for the seniors and give inspiration for all the underclassmen.
It has happened once in the NFL when the 72 Dolphins, the no-name defense, went 17-0. It almost happened many years later when Tom Brady's Patriots went 19-0. They went 16-0 in the postseason. They went 18-0, 2 wins in the postseason. And then the Super Bowl, David Tyree, the helmet catch, and then Plaxico Burress with the game-winning touchdown. And that did end the Patriots. They finished the year 18-1. In my opinion, Michelle, it's the greatest team ever assembled. Even though they lost that Super Bowl, 18-1, still impressive. For perspectives, if they win 3 more games, including the state championship, they'd finish with a 24-0 record.
Which will be incredible for first-year champions of the IHSA coming later this weekend.
We have 2 more games after this, including the undefeated Guilford Vikings, who are 19-0. They'll play the Lane Tech.
Our veterans and honor the men and women of the United States Armed Forces serving throughout the world with this moment of silence. Please remain standing as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Our team introductions are presented.
Nice rendition of the national anthem. Lane Tech, they're in the white and red, and perspectives, they're in the maroon.
Bradley Bourbonnais is in the white and red.
In person.
I'm sorry, Bradley Brett, yeah. Lane Tech is the late game tonight. Bradley Bourbonnais in the white and red. And then
tonight's
Perspectives
game.
in the maroon.
Wearing white and guests on the scoreboard tonight, representing the Bradley Bourbonnais Boilermakers with a record of 16-2. Let's meet the coaches. Head coach.
It's a pretty
Tremaine
small school,
Turner.
Michelle. Enrollment of just 392.
Assistant
Compare
coach,
that to Bradley
Alyssa
Bourbonnais, they
Carroll.
have over 1,800 kids.
Assistant coach
They
Mark
fielded
Cole.
a pretty large team then based on their
and
numbers.
assistant coach Brooke Peterson. Now let's meet the players. Number 3, junior Sophia
16 players on
Brandenburg.
Perspective. 7
Number
on 7,
4,
so you have
junior
9 subs
Audrey
unless
Conradi.
players aren't playing on both sides of the ball. Then you would have
Number
only 2 subs.
5,
Only
sophomore Avery
players
Lucci.
play on offense or defense. But
Number
we've
6,
seen a lot
junior
today
Lily
so far
Argelin.
that players, their best players, are very athletic and play on
7,
both sides of the
freshman
ball.
Elise Munsterman.
You can certainly
Number
have a
8,
few, but
junior
sometimes
Evelyn
it's hard if you have
McIntyre.
too many because then you can't practice.
Number 10,
Well.
senior Leah Swilly.
21 players for Bradley Bourbonnais, so they have 5 more
junior
players than
Caroline
Perspectives.
Booth.
A little bit more deep.
Number
You know what? When you're
12,
21-0, I
senior
give you the
Sophia
benefit of the
DiCarlo.
doubt. And again, like I said,
Number
very
13,
much a test
senior
today for
Isabella
Perspectives. They played a
Perez.
lot of Chicago Public League
Number
teams.
14,
They
senior
play Bradley
Jocelyn
Bourbonnais, but Bradley
Martinez.
is not 18-0. They're 16-2. They
Number
got
15,
dominated by
sophomore
Yorkville,
Nevaeh Brown.
and their
Number
defense struggles at
19,
times. They gave up
junior
27 to
Caitlin
Yorkville, and they gave
Greenlee.
up 42 to Richton
Number 20,
Township.
sophomore Amber Melkor.
Sometimes
Number
it's wins, those
21,
losses.
sophomore
It's not
Kylie
even so much
Stennis.
of like we would see in
Number
tackle,
22,
the
senior
development of a
Corbin
team.
Ninez.
Sometimes it's just a
Number
bad play
24,
that
senior
turns the whole
Sutton
score
Hawk.
around and allows one team to win
Number
versus
30,
another.
senior
There's plenty of
Addison
teams that
Adams.
didn't make the finals or didn't get
Number
far enough in the
34,
playoffs
sophomore Crystal
with just
Schrieffer.
a heart-breaking loss.
48, senior
and just a
Mira
bad play.
Kaiser.
We're going to give you stats,
Number
by the way,
49,
for Bradley
senior
Bourbonnais. Very
Cornelia
impressive year
Fajardo.
for them. Like I said, just 2 losses out of their 18 games.
Now let's meet
As for
the
Bradley Bourbonnais,
visitors.
led by their freshman. How about
We're
this,
the
Michelle?
home team,
According to
right there,
MaxPreps.com,
and Warriors
23
on the
touchdowns,
scoreboard.
0 interceptions.
Representing
Wow.
the Chicago
That's good enough for a quarterback
Perspective
rating of
Leadership
147.4.
Warriors with a record of 21-0.
She's just a freshman, by the way, so defenses are going to have to deal with her for
Let's
3 more
meet the
years.
Coaches, head coach Lane Barlow.
For the rushing, they like to use the underclassmen, does Bradley Bourbonnais. According to MaxPreps.com, they've gained 1,400 yards on the ground. They average 17 yards per carry.
Now let's meet the players.
Receiving, the best
Number
player,
1, senior
arguably, has been
Taylor
Hop,
Morgan.
the senior. She's got 32 catches for 627 yards,
Number 2,
almost 20
sophomore
yards per
Jada
catch.
Collins.
So even the young ones,
Number
the
3,
freshmen,
sophomore
they might have just as
Cheyenne
much
Harvey.
experience as someone who's a senior or
Number
junior
5,
coming out,
sophomore
if this is a
Angel
new team for
Green.
their school. And so at this
Number
point
6,
in
senior
the
Mariana
history of
Cleveland.
IHSA flag football, everybody's kind of on
Number 7,
an even
senior
playing
Robert
field.
It's
Number
also a
8,
pretty good
senior
defense in
Taylor
Bradley
Morgan.
Bourbonnais. You know, we talk about how the defensive linemen are 7 yards back before they can rush. They have 4 total sacks. Arkin and Ninas both with 2 sacks respectively. And in terms of interceptions, believe it or not, Bradley Bourbonnais with 17 picks
Wow.
in just 18 games played. Leading the way is Swilly with 6 picks. They're pretty good on the punt returns. They average just over 14 yards per return. But yeah, Munsterman. Now look, these are max preps. Are they completely accurate? We'll have to talk to the coaches and determine that after the game. But still, she's got to have at least 23 touchdown passes. Does she have 0 interceptions? Remains to be seen. But still, 23 touchdown passes for Munsterman. And it's like you talked about, Michelle, just because they're underclassmen does not mean the moment is too big for them.
Not one bit. On our team, we have girls from all ages that were on varsity and stars, and so it's a matter of speed, it's a matter of agility, catching, just the skills.
Joey Herring, line judge Fallon Dickens, and the back judge Katrina Cook.
Was Perspectives ever tested this year? Arguably, no, except for the Marist game. That was back in the Regional Bowl. They won that 20-14. Their last game against Chicago Agricultural Science, 20-14. Some of these games, 74-0, 60-0, 54-0.
Wow.
For Bradley Bourbonnais, a team that has struggled a couple of times defensively. This is a Perspectives team well known for their offense. Is the moment too big for the Boilermakers? We're going to find out. Here's the coin flip by Bradley. such a fast game, partner. You don't have as many possessions as you think you would because just running clock. So getting off to a good start is so important in flag football.
Absolutely. And so really it doesn't matter who gets the ball at the beginning. It's who gets the ball in the end zone the most.
No field goals. The kickers will not help you today unless you have an excellent punter. That does come into play. If you can find that punter.
Oh, it absolutely comes into play. One of the girls that I had on my JV team, we moved her up to varsity because of her leg.
Now, in the NFL, they do what's called the rugby-style punt. The guy gets the ball, then he runs to the right to waste clock. Can you do that in flag football to waste clock as a punter?
It's not so much about wasting clock. You don't want to waste the clock. There's too little of it. But you can certainly move to the side to move away from blockers since defense and offense is basically set except for the kicker after the snap.
And what we've seen is on these punts, they don't really do like a punt formation where the punter's 10 yards back. They do more of a standard shotgun. Sometimes the punter's also the quarterback. Sometimes the quarterback's your best athlete. And, if you don't have a punter, you just put the best athlete out there to punt, and you hope for the best. But the last game, both teams, you get to the quarterfinals for a reason, right? Both teams, Fremd and Evanston, they had pretty decent punters. We're going to find out how good Bradley and Perspectives is punting the ball today.
Right. Since spring sports for IHSA has girls soccer, girls who are able to kick well in soccer are able to come out for flag football in the fall.
So Bradley led by their quarterback, and Munsterman, the freshman, and a lot of sophomores. Schreifer, Melchor, Stanek. The young pups, what can they do in a very highly contested game here against Perspectives? One in the backfield. Clean snap. Now this is a lot of fun. Here we go. They get to the edge. Can she stay in bounds? She can't. I waste a lot of clock, too, for only a 1-yard gain.
Hey, at this point in the game, it's okay to waste a little clock.
Man, that was fun.
Each team has a little bit of a different style. Some trick plays, if you call them that, or just ways that they try and maneuver misdirection.
2nd and 19. One in the backfield. She thought about switching over, then goes back to original spot. Munsterman. The handoff, and it was successful. Trying to get to the edge, but couldn't get it done. As trying to get it over to her tailback. I believe that was Schreifer.
Yeah, a little bit of loss of down on this one, or loss of yard.
Loss of 1 on the play. It'll be 3rd and 21.
What do you want to do if you're Bradley? Do you want to be conservative, and you got to get 21 yards for a first down?
Nah, move. Get the ball going.
You're going to be aggressive to try to get the ball downfield.
And now they'll punt. They should punt anyways.
Usually it's a punt, but whenever Dan Campbell is coaching the Lions, you never know if they're going to go for it or if they're going to punt.
Yeah, I think even Dan Campbell would agree that this should be a punt.
I don't know. He's kind of an oddball. But no, you're right. Probably punt here. I just love it. It's not a normal punt formation. It's just a standard shotgun.
First time I've seen the defense skating with their backs to the punt.
Yeah, nice spin move. And we're going to find out how good this Perspectives team is. They have excellent field position.
Yes, they do.
Are you surprised in the couple of quarterfinals that we've covered thus far that they're not going in normal punt formation, that they're just going standard shotgun with their punters?
No, this is what I've seen all year. Again, that was the first time that I've seen the return team with the back to the punt. But really those people are just standing there to block. They can't jump. They can't do anything. And so it makes sense that maybe they're putting their back if they're going to get hit by the ball instead of their front. But otherwise, pretty standard.
So it was an encroachment sign against Agricultural. Perspectives. They beat Agricultural to get here. As clock continues to run, they're going to go under center.
First down for Perspectives.
Still on her feet.
Good twist into the hips.
How hard is it to try to grab that flag?
It's very hard, and that I think is going to be one of the bigger injuries that we're going to see in this sport, are broken fingers because of trying to pull flags.
First and goal.
Does it help at all when you use gloves, try to get that flag?
Yes and no. Sometimes yes, sometimes that helps strengthen your fingers. Sometimes it just makes them sticky, and then they pull weird.
Standard offensive line for Perspectives on this formation. Trying to roll outside the pocket. So much athleticism. That's the lateral we were talking about. To the end zone. Touchdown, Perspectives.
That was a great run play.
And that's what I think you're going to have to do that if you want to win the state title. You got to be very creative. Flag football, the defensive line is 7 yards back. Do those laterals, get out to the edge, and get your speedster out on the edge for a lateral play, and that's what Perspectives did there.
Right. Big part of flag football is just that misdirection. If you can get the 7 members on the other side of the field going the wrong way, they're going to miss then the pull.
Very impressive. We were wondering if playing a suburban team was going to get to Perspectives at all. Not at all. Not so far. Not a great snap. Flea flicker for Perspectives to the end zone.
Little deep.
If it was a little bit lower, it probably would have been a conversion, but that makes it 6-0, and everything went wrong for Bradley Bourbonnais on that first possession. But the good news is it's only 6-0 and not 7 or 8-0.
Correct, and they're going to restart. If they can settle down, try something big, get that first down, still in it.
If you're the coaching staff for Bradley, she's just a freshman, your quarterback. What do you do if your head coach, Tremaine Turner, to try to settle the nerves a little bit?
Just remind her that she's gotten to this point, that she's played big games, and help her focus some breathing.
And it just goes by so fast. That was already a play run on the offense. Intended target for Bradley Bourbonnais was Bristol Schreifer, the sophomore wide receiver. She likes to run the ball a lot.
Second and 20 from their own 20.
You don't need to get it all on this play. Just try to get 10 or more yards, or at least 5 yards to get to a somewhat of a manageable third down. Right now, Perspectives, they're just going into deep coverage and just begging them with an over-the-top pass.
Yep. Let's see what...
It's time they run the option. Problem with that is, Michelle, you want the linebacker to commit to the quarterback and then do the option and then do the lateral. When you do the lateral right away, it just allows the linebacker to force you out of bounds.
The hard thing with a lot of this is that because the ball's already so far behind the line of scrimmage, once the play starts, you already have that much more to make up.
3rd and 17. Down the field. Completed. Down the sidelines. Can she go all the way? Touchdown pass. Bradley Bourbonnais.
Just like we saw in the last game, you can't let them behind you.
I mean, that was so easy. Even if you're not a great receiver, she had 3 yards of separation on the catch. 77 yards. And everything was going well for Perspectives. That's the one thing you can't give up. Just stay back. If they try to do the deep pass, just knock it down. Weren't able to do it. Touchdown pass, Bradley Bourbonnais, and that's why she has a quarterback rating of 147 coming into this game.
Yeah, not a lot of clock runoff, so that's good for both teams.
Bourbonnais to the end zone. Conversion is good. 2 plays, 8 points. Just like that, a lead for the Boilermakers.
The Sutton half 2-point conversion is good.
Great coaching by Bradley Bourbonnais. It was 3rd and 17. Things were going all the way Perspectives' way, and a big completion, 77 yards down the far sideline.
Yeah, let's see what Perspectives can do from this side of the field. They had a great field position last time. Let's see if they can move it down the field.
You are watching live coverage of the IHSA Girls Flag Football Tournament on the NFHS Network. NFHSnetwork.com/IHSA is your destination for the most comprehensive coverage of IHSA playoff action. Fumbled it. And she wasn't going to get much on that play unless it was a handoff and a flea flicker, because the linebacker was right at the 25 to take away her flag.
It's if they make that. It's a little different than tackle. It's not as ensured that you're going to hit that stop of the play.
Right. Sometimes you overthink it, too, because you're like, I got the handoff, but I have 20 yards to get. Sometimes you overthink it. That's when you fumble it.
Right, and if there's one miss on the flag, everybody else stops playing. They're gone. Again, that was a little bit of that misdirection that you could see on that play.
Halen Morgan on the keeper.
Bradley saw it all the way. well, things were going the way of Perspectives. Now they're
It's
not.
third
How do they
down.
regroup?
From their own 24.
Does that get to you at all? As the game gets
3rd and 16.
continues to go onward,
Perspectives.
knowing that Perspectives hasn't lost all season, are they going to feel that pressure?
If they have good coaches and they've talked up well, they're going to just focus on this play that they are in right now, getting that first down,
Quarterback sneak.
Morgan on the keeper.
which they're getting awfully close for.
And the key is where the ball was last. That makes it so tough on the officials because the defender is going to say, no, I got her at the 35 of the 35. As the ref, you have to avoid that, and you just got to look at where the ball was last before the flag was gotten.
4th and 4.
Correct.
For Perspectives.
Can't run the ball because it's 4th and 4. You could if it was 4th and 6.
Yeah, this is what's called the no-run zone.
So that was interesting, Michelle, because they don't allow dog piles on fumbles. It was a completion, but it was still a fumble.
Bourbonnais will take
In
over
boys
the
football,
down.
it would be a fumble and people could go after the ball, but because they don't allow that yet in flag football, it hurts for Perspectives. They had the completion, but because they didn't take off her flag yet, it's still considered a fumble, and they don't allow fumbles in flag football
For
yet.
Bradley
Correct. And I think they actually just ruled it as incomplete based on where the ball is spotted right now.
Look at this. Still on her feet. Did she move? I think she did, but the ref didn't call it, at least not yet.
It will be interesting to know why they didn't go for why Perspectives didn't go for that
on the play.
punt to turn the ball over this close to the end zone.
Right.
It'll be
It was
first
only
and
4th and
goal
4. They got the
from the
conversion. She
20.
just dropped it.
Yeah, I guess it's early enough that they went for it.
You are playing a quarterback that hasn't thrown a pick all year. She now has 24 touchdown passes. I think Perspectives knew going in if they're going to the quarterfinals, they got to score at least 28 points tonight.
Yeah.
To the end zone. She's wide open. Touchdown, Boilermakers. Munsterman's feeling it now.
Yeah, so if I was the coach, I would just try and get everybody to settle down.
Bradley Bourbonnais. Touchdown, Bradley Bourbonnais.
We still got a whole half
Boilermakers.
plus to play.
Bradley Bourbonnais will go for the 2-point conversion.
They're going for 2 on the 8.
So you can run the ball because it's at the 8.
Correct. And sometimes that's where the decision is made. A little less about points and more about what your options are to run.
Munsterman with a clean pocket. Munsterman, pump fake. Munsterman with it, and they got her flag.
2-point conversion, no good.
And that's key, Michelle, because if they had converted on the one-pointer, that still would have been a 2-possession lead. Because they went for 2, they were overly aggressive. They don't get it.
Bradley Bourbonnais,
After everything that's gone
14.
wrong for Perspectives lately, you get a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, it's still a tie game.
Warriors,
That's where sometimes you don't want to overthink it as a coach. If you get the one-pointer there, you're still up to
from their own 20.
possessions, but they go for 2, they don't convert.
In this fast sport, at this point, you're really just trying to stay close and score, like you said.
Kaylin Morgan on the keeper for Perspectives.
You don't want any one
Step
team to
by
really run
Lily
up the score
Argyle.
because if that happens, then the game could end early.
How do you get rid of that flag? Do you pull upwards or do you pull downwards?
Pull down. They're like little,
2nd and 8.
they look like little suction cups.
From
They're
their
not,
own
though.
32.
It's like a little
Right.
plastic plug that pulls out. There's a cute little pop noise that happens. You can't hear it all the way up here, but
Right, correct. 2nd and 8, one on the backfield. Not a great snap. She's wide open.
oof,
Missed her.
just a little far.
You know, and that's where center play, it's an undervalued part of the game. If you can get those clean snaps to the quarterback, get it in rhythm. When it's not in rhythm, even a high snap like that,
From their own
it creates a
32.
little erratic play, unrhythm for your quarterback, and maybe because it wasn't in rhythm, it's still on the quarterback. She overthrew a receiver, but if you can get that snap right to the hands, everything's more in rhythm for your offense.
This year for IHSA, that is a rule that the snap has to come from the ground. Some of these teams have been playing where it didn't have to be snapped like that. It could just be kind of pitched to the quarterback from the center, and so that could be a disadvantage for a team that's practiced differently for a few years.
Sophia DeCarlo. It'll be 4th and 1 for Perspective from their own 39.
4th and 1. Can't run the ball, though. You could do a little screen pass just to convert, and I think they're just going to throw it out to the sideline to get the 1 yard.
Just needs to be a forward pass. If she's far enough back, she can still get that forward pass.
Yep.
Just like that.
You could do that, too. This looks like she had, on the sideline, looks like she had 3 yards of separation. If they had thrown it to the sideline, they might have got more yardage, but oh well.
Yeah, but that was the safe call by the offensive coach to just get it to the first down.
Remember, clock continues to move till you get the 1 minute warning. Maximizing your possessions is so critical in flag football.
Yeah, there's really 3 components to the game: offense, defense, and clock management.
Taking a lot of time to get this play off. Takes the handoff. Looks downfield. She's open. Nice pass. And it was completed to Rain Lumpkin.
She only gained a little after the catch, though. It's too bad she couldn't run downfield instead of side.
They thought about going no huddle, but the ref hadn't spotted the ball yet. Now they'll slow it down.
From the Bourbonnais 40, 16-yard pass play.
Since a lot of the athletes are coming from sports like basketball, they're used to just kind of running or dancing in the backfield, as we call it, and there's the drive. Got to get downfield.
There's that little shovel pass. Going the wrong way. I think that was a block, too.
Yeah, but go downfield.
We've seen that twice today. The refs have not called the block. You have to stay stagnant. If you try to lean in on a block, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Right. It depends on how blatant it is and how much the refs are looking for it. Some are really on top of it. Some are a little hard to see it.
2nd and a long way. 2nd and 23 at the opponent's 43.
The refs have been doing a great job learning the sport, just like the coaches and the players.
Perspectives has a lot of speed, so right now Bourbonnais is in a full zone look. Gets to the edge. She's still on her feet. Now she's not. Is able to show the flag was Evelyn McIntyre, the defensive back. Do you like these slow developing plays from perspectives, or would you like more quick passes, try to get the ball downfield quicker?
Honestly, whatever works for the team. This seems to be working well for them, so I hope they keep rolling with it.
3rd and 13. I think you're in 4-down territory unless you fumble the ball here. 5 wide receiver look.
They got to make it all the way to the 20, so they certainly won't be punting based on where they're at, but
clean pocket. She was open.
Oof.
That one, Michelle, I think it's on the quarterback, but it's in the hands like that. You got to be able to finish the catch.
And that's, again, one of those plays that they're going definitely well past that 20 mark. So that would be, a decision from the coach. Maybe just aim for the first down as opposed to going for the end zone.
It's all about getting 6 points. The field goal kicker will not help you tonight. It's all about 6. No field goal kickers tonight. Got to get to the 20 to preserve the drive. And as you would expect, 3 players from Bourbonnais right at the 20-yard line, ready for the receivers.
Yep, nice that they have someone deep, though, just in case.
Clean pocket. Now here comes the rush. She's got to get rid of it. Morgan, she was open. That's such a hard pass. Mahomes and all these other quarterbacks make it look so easy. You're running to your left. You're a right-handed thrower, so you're going to your opposite side of your body. You don't have time to set your feet. She was open, but when you can't set your feet like that, it's such a tough throw. It was on the offense, holding against the offense. It was 4th down, so Bradley Bourbonnais just wants the ball.
Yep.
How do you defend Munsterman? She now has 2 touchdown passes after that slow start.
You make sure that nobody gets behind you.
They've been rolling since that 77-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, this could also be where you consider to start sending someone in from the 7. You'll see one of the refs are lined up there to help mark where that position is.
Bad pass. How was that completed? To the 40. Sometimes, Michelle, when it's your night, it's your night. There were 4 defenders around it. Munster somehow just was able to throw a dime.
Yep. Definitely a great catch. It's too bad with that many defenders right there that they couldn't get that flagpole right away.
or just knock the ball down. When there's one receiver around 4 linebackers / safeties.
That's where talking is big. You know, if the players could talk, I'm going to go for the ball, you're going to go for the flag. You kind of got all your options covered.
See if they go to the senior leader here after the timeout that was called by Bradley. She has 32 catches for 627, but like I said, it's a Bradley team, a lot of underclassmen. All of their receivers besides Hop are sophomores. And in terms of the stats, 6 players have caught the ball this year for the Boilermakers.
With this being a new sport, even though we've got young athletes, that's not surprising that they're already at this level, playing in the quarterfinals.
Good news for Perspectives. They got to get in the end zone to make it a 2-possession lead. A little bit of a double reverse. Looking downfield. She's got a woman. Complete. Oh, no, she dropped it.
Oof.
Use your hands, not your body. Oh, boy. Can't blame the weather conditions. It's 70 degrees outside. Try to get it to Schreifer. And we've seen that a couple of times tonight, Michelle, where the safeties are biting on the pump fakes and the reverses. You got to stay deep. Don't let the quarterback tell you where the ball's going.
Correct. It's certainly important to keep an eye on the quarterback and the ball, but it's also important to keep an eye on who's around you and where they're at on the field.
Up for grabs. One of the few mistakes that Munsterman has made tonight.
Munsterman's pass intended for Kylie Static, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down.
According to Max Preps, like we talked about earlier, 0 interceptions.
40.
And her longest touchdown pass of the year was 52. You can scratch that as she has a 77-yarder here in the quarterfinals. 3rd and 20, you're up by 8. You'd love to get the first, but don't turn the ball over either. Munsterman, she's got time. A little drop-off pass in the flat. There's a flag, might be on the offense, is getting to the 30.
Flag definitely looked like it was going to be on the offense.
But we have a flag on the plate.
Again, even though they're trying to get for that end zone, I get that they're trying to run up the score, but at this point, you really just need to get that first down.
Or waste clock, force Perspectives, call timeout. Block in the back.
Illegal block against Bradley Bourbonnais.
They'll make it 3rd and 25.
Yeah, because now they're in a position where they're helping the other team, right? Backing up with that penalty, and they're getting close to midfield.
And it stops the clock.
Lost it down on the penalty.
That's what you don't want. You don't want Perspectives to have free timeouts when you stop the clock like that. So that'll make it 4th and 30. It's a 10-yard penalty, actually, because there's a block in the back.
Well, the clock is stopped because we're under the minute, but yeah, I agree. You got to keep that clock running.
Probably just going to punt it here. And timeout called by the Boilermakers. That's their last of the first half. Today's game is also available for all subscribers via the NFHS Network Live mobile app for Apple and Android devices. Download the app from the Apple Application Store or Google Play Store today to start watching live games wherever you are. Perspectives, they started well, and since that touchdown pass, which was the fault of Perspectives, it's been all Bradley Bourbonnais, but at the same time, the score is the score. We saw it in the last game. Fremd controlled the clock. A lot of the stats went their way in terms of reception, rushing yards, but at the end of the day, it's just an 8-point lead. Bradley's going to punt, and can Perspectives go the length of the field in 50-plus seconds?
Well, we'll see if Bradley punts. The way that they were lining up right before there was a timeout called, they looked like they were going to go for it. I don't know if that was a clock decision. Or if that was truly what they're going to go for. I don't think they're going for the punt based on how defense is lined up. They're not ready for a return. And that is something that has to be announced. It's not something that they can just all of a sudden, oops, here we're doing this.
Yeah, you can't do a pooch punt like in the boys' game where quarterback's in shotgun formation, then he changes his mind and punts. They're going to go for it. Munsterman. And incomplete. I am shocked by that. Especially because Perspectives has really struggled offensively the last 5 minutes. Why give them good field position?
Well, it's certainly better than if they were turned over a little deeper on the field, but it also depends on what kind of leg they have. Maybe they don't have a punter. They've developed a good quarterback, but they're missing that part of the game. And so, again, turning the ball over, maybe they'll be able to hold them here.
They know their personnel more than we know their personnel.
Correct.
Clock stops on a first, at least briefly. She's got plenty of time in the pocket. Slow developing play to the 40, to the 36, and brought out of bounds. They tackled her before she got out of bounds. Will they call a timeout? They won't.
Avery Moutry on the stop for Bradley.
Got to get the play off quickly.
Be first down.
Remember, you got to have both flags.
Yeah, they
on
have
your
to
person.
have equipment.
17.
Wasted a lot of time right there.
Got to get out of bounds.
Jada Morgan on the carry.
And Perspectives might have called both timeouts because you would wonder why they wouldn't call one there with the equipment issue. You got second and 12. If you can get a quick first down or a completion out of bounds, you would have time for one more play, but I think they're going to throw a Hail Mary here. And if you're Bradley, just knock the ball down. This is surprising.
Yeah, nice little fake here.
She's open.
Oh, man, that would have been a great play.
I'm just surprised these teams are biting on that. The only way that Perspectives could beat you is with the Hail Mary. Just keep it in front of you.
Yeah. That's been something that's been big on a lot of games.
Saw it in the last game. We see it today on the 77-yarder and almost the connection to potentially tie the score if they converted on the two-point conversion. And I was right the first time. Perspectives did have a timeout. Are you surprised that they waited to call it now? They could have called it when their right guard was having issues with her flag, and that would have saved them 20 seconds.
You know, I am rare to call a timeout because of being on defense. I like to save them for my offense. So I have no idea the choices of making the timeout on that one.
Right.
I would have definitely done it to get that flag on the person so that they could have their full equipment, save the time, maybe get an extra play in there, but we'll see.
5.9. You don't necessarily have to throw it to the end zone. You could run a hook and ladder. We saw the option play. As Perspectives, their only touchdown of the game was a quarterback sneak and then the little pitch to the right, and that's how Perspective scored. It's a small school, partner, under 400 people, and they're trying to maintain their undefeated record.
It'll be exciting to see what they choose to do in these last few seconds of the first half. If they can get in the end zone, this game is very close to being tied up.
3rd and 12. From the Bradley Bourbonnais 32.
Kind of surprised they're not lined up at the goal line, but that's what they want to do. They're at the 10 for their deep safeties. One last play before the half ends. What is going on?
So the quarterback wasn't able to see someone open, so then she started running and also looked like there was a flag on the play.
If it's on the defense, we get another play. If it's on the offense, that ends the half.
Yeah, my guess is that was on the offense. Too much time for the quarterback to decide to throw the ball.
Because you only get 7 seconds to throw.
Correct. So I was not timing, but I'm sure that's what that was for.
Seemed like she had an eternity to throw the ball. And look, you got to remember, these are kids. We've had a lot of freshmen play today. Freshmen sometimes think, I got to wait for somebody to be open. Nobody's going to be open on a Hail Mary because the defense expects it. You just got to throw it up for grabs and hope you get a tip to a teammate.
Right. And some of the refs I know have been calling that 7-second or giving warning. Some don't, and so it's a matter then of management of time. And so that could help or hurt a quarterback. In this case, it didn't seem like they gave that hint. They would have only had one more play, though. I don't know if they would have been able to get something done with it. Still in it, though. Even, 6-14.
So we're going to take a 3-minute break, and we'll give you more analysis. It's 14-6 in favor of Bradley Bourbonnais here on NHS Network.
What rhymes with great?
Participate.
Where does greatness start? Here, in the classroom. On the stage.
In the pool.
On the field.
Where will your greatness take you?
To better grades.
To more friends.
Yeah! Be great.
Participate.
14-6, Kyle Smith alongside Michelle Tantillo. Really surprising. You would think that they coach and work on that Hail Mary play, but it seemed like the quarterback for Perspective was a little out of sorts, and they called the 7-second rule on her. She couldn't get the ball out in time, and a chance for Perspectives to potentially score, and the Hail Mary goes for naught, and they trail by 8 going into the second half.
Yeah, we'll see what adjustments are made on both sides of the ball for both teams as we move into the second half. The regular season, the half times were 2 minutes, so the fact that this is 6 minutes is a huge length of time, and so there is actually a little bit more time for adjustment. And I'm hoping that's one of the things that maybe will change in the future, that the regular season maybe will add at least another minute for the timeout, for the halftime, because otherwise 2 minutes flies really fast.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I wonder if they'll change for next year. Will they have a meeting about the fumbles? Should we allow fumbles? I don't know if that's going to happen next year, but I think eventually they'll allow fumbles. But, I mean, we'll see. But that's been a thing where, especially earlier in the game, Perspectives had the conversion, then she fumbled it, and they don't allow people to go after a fumbled ball.
I think they follow, even though we've got 7-on-7 in a larger field, I think we follow a lot of the rules that are standard across other flag football, and that is one of them. And I think the intention is just to maintain safety, that we don't want a bunch of people piling in on the ball.
You know, it puts more pressure on the wide receiver. You got to catch the ball because you will not have the chance to pick that ball right up. You know, you got to make the clean catch, hands out, have your hands ready, and make the catch. And there's been some times the Boilermakers had a couple of opportunities to put this one away. They couldn't do it. Perspectives couldn't tie it. Morgan had her wide receiver open, and Morgan had the pass right on target, and she dropped it. But that's where we stand right now. Perspectives, their undefeated season, their season is on the line. And not only do they have to score a touchdown, but they got to get a 2-point conversion. And for people that aren't familiar with flag football, the ball's not at the 2-yard line for the 2-point conversion. It's at the 8.
Or the 5. Depends on what they choose.
But that's only for 1 point if it's at the 5-yard line.
I guess that's true, yes.
Yeah, so it's, you know, so if you're like, oh, well, you know, 2-point conversion, you're only at the 2-yard line. Nope, not in flag football. In the NFL, yes, but not for flag football.
There's a difference between choosing the 1 and 2 anyway, is because of the option for pass when you are back at the 8 versus the 5 for the 1 point.
Right, and we saw earlier in the game, Bradley made it 14-6, and they could have gone for the easier 1-point conversion, which would have made it a 2-possession lead, which the way Perspective's offense is doing, that might be the game, but they went for 2. So after everything that's gone wrong for Perspectives, you find a way to get that ball in the end zone, you convert on the 2-point conversion, it's a tie game.
It's a bit more common in flag football to see teams go for the 2-point because that gives them the run option as well as just the pass. And so that's not an unusual call by the coach. It's actually more unusual to see teams go for the 1 point, even though that would be closer to just bumping the score up.
Right. Well, it's just one of those things, you know, do you want to be conservative no matter what? Do we want to go up by 2 possessions, or do we want to go for 2 because then we can do a running play, we can do an option play, we can do this, we can do that. You know, it's just whatever your comfort zone is. You, as a coach, you have to build your team around your personnel. Look, everybody would love their quarterback to be like Lamar Jackson. But if Lamar Jackson's not on your team, you have to run the offense according to your quarterback and your wide receiver skill sets. And Bradley, they went for 2 because according to Munsterman's skill set, they feel comfortable down with the ball at the 8-yard line to try to convert.
Yeah. seeing that Perspectives is getting the ball, maybe this is why they were a little bit more conservative right before the half, knowing that they were going to start with the ball in the second half.
Do you like dad jokes?
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm wondering what their leadership skills will be going into the second half.
I don't know. It's a big perspective.
Well, Perspectives gets the ball back. They got to go 80 yards to tie this one up. One in the backfield. This time out in the flat. Very shifty in the open field. Still on her feet, and then near the 30 before they grab a flag.
Stop by Audrey Conradi.
The big thing for flag football versus tackle football is sometimes it's a little bit more guaranteed about that tackle on how you can slow someone down. With the flag pull, if you miss that flag pull, somebody can really get far if there's not somebody right behind. And so there's definitely a different mentality, a different coaching style, a different set of plays than tackle, even though the core of the sport is the same.
Right, in football, if you're very strong, you can sometimes get away with an arm tackle, but in flag football, if you try to go upwards with the flag instead of downwards, that player might just run right past you. They got her, but remember, it's where the ball is, not where the person says, I grabbed her flag.
Correct.
It seems like they've been giving them a yard and a half where the person says the flag was picked up.
There's definitely a different running style as well with the ball. We've found that a lot of running, if you have two hands on the ball in front of you, kind of lacrosse style, is actually better to help so that you're not doing flag guarding. If you're running normally, if you will, as if you had the ball tucked in your arm, there's a better chance of you trying to do flag guarding just naturally.
2nd and 5.
2nd and 5.
Going to have to pass it until they get another first.
45.
Let's see if they can continue moving down the field. They're doing pretty good so far.
Remember, got to worry about the 7-second rule. They were called for it earlier. She's open. You know, Michelle, I'll let you call it. Do we blame the quarterback or the receiver?
Morgan pass intended.
Just looks like miscommunication on both ends.
It's got to be at least the third time they've had a wide open woman. It's just got to be on target. It would have been a touchdown.
Third down.
They're close. I mean, there's a reason they're 21-0, but they're playing a team who's 16-2.
45.
So those mistakes that they might have gotten away with in previous games, they're not going to get away with them tonight. Got to be more of a perfect ball. 3rd and 5. Cannot run it because of the 5-yard thing. That counts because it's a shovel pass. She's still on her feet. Past the 30, at the sideline, at the 10, at the 5, and finally she's brought out of bounds inside the 10. And that's Perspectives games. Little shovel pass, give it to your playmaker out in space and see what they can do.
Yeah, when it's in the no-run zone, it just needs to be a forward pass. It doesn't matter how far forward, just forward.
For Bradley Bourbonnais.
1st and goal at the 9.
1st and goal from the Bradley Bourbonnais 9.
Possibly a game-changing play. This time they'll go under center.
Ref is just reminding everybody to have their flags in the correct spots. These belts twist a lot when they get pulled, when people are running. But that's part of the equipment, is making sure that the flags are on the hips.
False start.
From the 10.
Nope, they're just going to respot the ball. 1st and 10 at the 10.
I think it was a drop. That's why they lost only one there.
No loss of down. 1st and goal at the 10. Clean pocket. Down the middle, and she dropped it. Boy, oh boy. I don't know. Do we need to put super glue on these gloves? Hard to throw a better pass than that. 2nd and... So I was right the first time. It was lost down. 3rd and goal at the 10.
This time of night with the humidity, sometimes it's a little bit wet, even though you don't think it, just because of dew. Makes these catches a little harder.
Rolls to the right. Pump fake. She runs with it. Eyeing the end zone. Spinorama. Did she get in?
Yeah,
Just a little short.
Just short.
That was their run, so they cannot run it here, Michelle.
Carrier and the keeper.
But you can do a shovel pass.
Stop by Sophia DiCarlo.
Just anything that would be a forward.
It'll be a 4th and goal.
The pitch does not count as
From the Bradley
a forward pass unless you're going forward with it. Flip pass. Did she get in? I think the ball crossed. Touchdown!
Yeah, and they missed the flag on that one. That's how easy it is for people to miss that pull. Oh, they're calling it
So for
out.
people that aren't familiar, what was the flag that the near... Oh, now they're talking about it. This is a huge call. Are they going to say false start on the offense? Or are they going to say...
turnover on down.
Wow, they're going to change their mind and say she was a half yard short.
Bradley Bourbonnais with the turnover on downs.
Well, from my perspective, I saw both flags still on her hips, so I don't know.
You see, that's so strange to me, Michelle, because every time when we see a woman take away the flag, yeah, there we go. That's the right call. It sure looked like she crossed the pilot. And even if she didn't, Michelle, what I was going to say is every time we see a woman with the flag up in the air, the ball is actually spotted a half yard further from where the girl shows the flag to the official.
Yeah, and if you saw the person who made it in the end zone, she had both flags on her hips when she got in there, so.
It's not where the person is, it's where the ball is. It looked like the ball crossed the pylon.
Correct. They're going to go for 2 here.
It's early on in the second half. I guess you don't have to, but I understand why they are.
Again, it's just a mentality. A lot of people leave all the options on the table. The quarterback can then run. They can hand it off for a run.
Fakes the handoff. Pump fake. Dropped it. It was a little behind her, but it was in the hands. And the other thing is, too, Michelle, like, it's only 3 yards closer, and if you're at the 5, you can't run the ball. And for a confidence point of view, tie up the score to change the mindset and put the pressure back on Bradley. They couldn't convert, but I understand why they went for 2 instead of 1.
And those small, just the 3 yards is really to allow you to be able to have your full playbook is big in comparison to just a few more yards. I mean, you're already right there in the end zone.
So Munsterman, the freshman, pass. Was there contact before she caught it? I think that would have been a ticky-tack pass interference call. They say no pass interference, we play on.
From their own 20.
Can't be too conservative, Michelle. Even though the clock runs, you're only up by 2 points. You don't have to score another touchdown, but you got to waste a lot of clock.
Yes, you do.
Munsterman, quarterback keeper. That does waste some clock. Unfortunately, you'd like for her to go north and south with it, not east and west. She only gained a couple of yards.
Correct.
Janet Collins and a stop for perspective.
3rd and 16.
This will be big for perspectives if they're going to be able to hold them here.
From their own 24.
You got to get at least 12 yards to even consider going for it.
We haven't seen perspectives punt yet, so that will also factor in if they choose to do that on 4th. If they need to do that on 4th.
For Bradley's sake, I know you're only up 2, but I wouldn't be overly aggressive. Reverse. Read well. Stop. Well, it doesn't stop the clock because it's running clock.
Pass incomplete.
I like the idea, but Perspectives was not fooled.
They're definitely going to throw in their punt team here. This is just way too close of a game. Way too close for the other team to get the ball.
Good news for Bradley. Even if it's a bad punt, Perspectives has to get the ball in the end zone. No help from your field goal kicker today. Pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
Returned at the 38. How about that? In the open field, that is so difficult to do, Michelle, but she was able to do it, did Sophia DiCarlo.
Yeah. You'll be amazed, actually, in the flag. That's pretty easy. If you have your target, you can get that flag because the person who is receiving is really focused on catching the ball, less focused on twisting their hips.
So at the 38-yard line, you got to go 62 yards. You got both of your timeouts. Clock stops briefly on a first. You don't have to pass the ball. They've had open receivers that just haven't connected.
They do have 4 downs to get just 2 yards, though, so they have a little time here.
Oh, yeah, it's 1st and 2. I like that thing about flag football is it's all about the 20, 40, the 40, and the 20. So because of the punt, the ball went to the 38, so they had 1st and 2. It's a really interesting tidbit.
And that's why there's only the like where the ball marker is and the down marker. There's not chains. It doesn't make sense to have chains because of how you can have 1st and 2, 1st and 20, 1st and 25.
This is an offense that can score up to 70 points, but the coaching staff for Perspective's not thinking about that. They're just thinking about 6 points.
Correct.
Led by athletic director Tyree Jackson. Morgan over the middle.
Yep, flag.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot, Michelle, but I think it was the right call. They're going to call it against Swilly.
Because this isn't tackle, really any contact is more than enough to get that flag.
Defensive pass interference against Bradley Bourbonnais.
It's a big move down the field for Perspectives.
This might be the game of the day. I know we got 2 more, but man, this has been fun to watch.
From the Bradley Bourbonnais 33.
It's been a Perspectives team. They've been undaunted. The moment is not too big for them. They have not panicked.
No, they have definitely kept their cool throughout the whole game. And hopefully they can keep doing that.
Under center. Fakes the pass to center. There it is. Over the middle. If you have an athletic center, it's such an advantage.
Yeah, the center is just really a specialized receiver that can snap the ball, too.
If you're Bradley, do you consider letting them score so you have more time to win the game on your next possession?
There is never a point where I have ever said, let them score so I have time to get the ball. This is a very different sport than tackle, and so points get on the board really quick. And so you just want to keep them from getting in the end zone always.
I always think of that Super Bowl where the Packers let the Broncos score. It was a tie score, but the Broncos, I think they had 1st and goal at the 1, and Terrell Davis scored. That made it 31-24. The Packers were hopeful their offense, led by Brett Favre, could get the game-tying touchdown, but Favre threw a pick, and that was John Elway's first ever Super Bowl title. Pump fake, rolling outside the pocket is Morgan. She's with it, inside the 20, inside the 10, in the open field, still with it.
And flag on the play, though. Let's see what this flag says. Might be flag guarding. Yep, going to be flag guarding.
What do you do if you're on offense? When you see that your teammate is running behind you, how do you make sure to not block the opposing team or try to accidentally do it?
Well, this wasn't a blocking play. This was flag guarding. So this was the person with the ball was trying to block the flag, and that's just something that you have to really practice to not have the instinct of blocking your flag from somebody. You have to really just run as if you don't have them. And if they get pulled, they get pulled. It's the magic of twisting the hips as opposed to obviously blocking with your hands.
If you're Morgan, get the ball away from Motry and Swilly. That's 5 and 10 respectively. Here's Morgan. She points, she delivers, completed. Is it enough for the first? And it is.
With some yards to go, yeah.
Decision time for Bourbonnais. Do you let them score? If you take too much time, do you want to waste 2 minutes and then Perspective scores anyways?
Honestly, Perspective should be trying to waste as much time as possible.
Correct.
If they think they're going to get in the end zone. They've got 4 tries now to get in there, and so the more that they can run off the clock, especially where we're at,
that's what they're doing.
The better for them. Yep.
I'm sure that Morgan has plays on her armband, but she doesn't have to go to those armband plays. She can just waste time.
Yep.
1st and goal at the 11. She's got time. She's going to run with it. She's still on her feet. Touchdown run for Morgan. Tough to stop in the open field. It took a long time, but Perspective scores, and they're back on top. First time since they were up 6-0.
And that's how important it is to get that flagpole.
Perspectives will attempt a 2-point conversion.
As I always say to my players, you got to go in with 2 hands, either 2 hands on one flag or 2 hands, one for each flag, because that's how quick that can change.
Morgan, the quarterback. When they needed her most, she delivered. Going to go for 2. She's got time, delivered. Trying to make a play. Spinorama, is she in? It's going to be close.
Signal looks touchdown.
Conversion good. It took a lot of time off that clock. By the way, it continues to run. You know, darn if you do, darn if you don't. It's always easy to play the game of Captain Hindsight, right? Monday morning quarterback. But should Bradley Bourbonnais have used both of their timeouts on defense to preserve the clock so they'd have more time on the clock to get the game-winning touchdown?
No, I think that it's always better to hold those timeouts for the offense to be able to call them, because they're setting the pace of the game, and so they know if they need to pause or move ahead.
1st and 20. Here's a handoff. Trying to run through Redwell.
Around the ball carrier.
I wonder if all the games are going to be this close.
Flag on the play.
Is it going to be flag guarding or is it going to be on the defense?
Flag guarding. Again, that's just really hard to do. You gotta put yourself in the mentality that there's no flags on you. Otherwise, you just instinctually are going to block someone's hand from grabbing at your waist.
Waste so much clock, too. Bradley might have to call a timeout in the next minute. And they lost yardage. 2nd and 28. What do you call here? Not allowed in the playbook for 2nd and 28. Well read. Dropped.
Oof.
And because so much time has gone off the clock, even if it gets to 4th and 28, you probably have to go for it anyways.
Third down.
Because of how close they are to the end zone, I would say no, they still going to have to punt in their pocket for 4th down.
The key is, remember, in the NFL you get 3 timeouts, and flag you only get 2, so you can only stop the clock twice on defense. You don't need to get all 28 yards here, Michelle. If you can get 15 or more to get to a manageable 4th down.
Yeah, but if you can kick the ball down the field and then somehow maybe steal the ball from the other team, that's going to be a better shot than giving the ball to them at the 12.
Well played by Bradley Bourbonnais, but there's a reason Perspectives is 21-0.
Yeah, but right now it doesn't look like they're sending in their punt team, so we shall see.
If they had 3 timeouts to call on defense, I would have done that.
No, they're going to talk about it and probably send in their punt team. This is what they did earlier in the game.
But here's the problem, though. If your Perspectives, can't you just take knees now that Bradley only has 1 timeout left? You get the 1 minute warning. After that, the clock will just run out when you take knees in victory formation.
Right. Based on where we're at in the clock right now, though, they wouldn't be able to do that, and then without having to turn over the ball.
So you would probably have to get 1 first down to end the game.
You'd have to get probably a couple first downs.
Country Financial is proudly the presenting sponsor for the IHSA Girls Flag Football State Championships. Country Financial makes every insurance easy. Worry less and feel more confident with insurance designed to meet your specific needs.
Okay, it looks like they're going to go for it instead of punting.
To experience more today.
I agree. And Perspective's going to see what formation they run. Remember, you can't be on the field if you're a coach. The ref has to signal the timeout first, then you go on the field. That would have been a flag on the defense. Meanwhile, timeout called by Perspectives.
Even in between games.
It's been a fun one.
It has been a fun one. Nice to see the crowds out for both teams as well. And I don't think you can see this from the camera view, but we've got a nice shot of the moon visually. Looking nice and orange as it's coming up over the school building.
High school sports fans, never miss another game. Become a subscriber to the NFHS Network to watch live event coverage, game replays, and highlights from high school sporting events from across the country. Millions of athletes, thousands of games, one destination, NFHSnetwork.com. We are high school. Well, what do you want to do here on 4th and 28? It's probably going to be a passing play. Downfield, you could run the hook and ladder, but you got a long way to go to convert.
Yeah, and truthfully, I haven't seen the hook and ladder all season, so I don't know if teams have considered that in their playbook. And so I would say this either has to be a really long pass, or the ball's going to get turned over.
Or just you do it as Scott Van Pelt says, pitchy, pitchy, woo-woo, a bunch of laterals so you get the first.
Yeah, this is going deep instead.
Is that complete?
Wow. First down.
Wonder if we could see a replay on that. That was incredible. There was like 5 Perspectives players around it.
Sophia Brandenburg with the catch.
They're going to, oh my goodness. Brandenburg is credited with the catch. The junior wide receiver, we haven't said her name all night until then.
That's all you need, one big play. Clock's now going to be the enemy.
46.
But a big momentum shift like that could be huge.
Very creative. And they get her near the 45. Spotted at the 45. Remember, we get the 1-minute warning. The game might end on this possession. I don't think Perspective's going to get the ball back. So if you're Perspectives, if you want to go to the semis, you got to get a stop on defense. Good news if you're Perspectives, even if they score, there is no PAT kick. It's at the 5 or the 8 to convert. Flag on the play is going to be flag guarding against Bradley.
It didn't look like flag guarding from up here, but I think that's what they're calling it. Again, sometimes it's just a subtle movement that the refs see and
flag against Bradley Bourbonnais, illegal run.
Still got a long way to go, Michelle. We're at the 1-minute mark. They still got to go 50 yards.
3rd and 10 from midfield.
They have to get 10 to just get the first down. They have it in them.
Nice pass on the flat. Good hesitation move, trying to get to the 40. I think she got there. They're going to spot it at the 38. Got to spike it. Got to spike. Wasted too much time.
Hard thing with the spiking is they all have to be set, otherwise they're going to back the ball up. And so,
so timeout called by Perspective. I wouldn't have called the timeout there. Why would you want to stop the clock if you're Perspectives?
Well, the fact that the Perspectives girl was running around for the flag, it might have just been an equipment thing.
I would have just taken the encroachment penalty and saved the timeout. You don't know if you're going to need it on defense. You see a formation you don't like, you call a timeout. Now they're out of timeouts for the rest of the game.
Yeah, with 38 seconds, though, on defense, you don't really need timeouts. If you can just get them to be calm, get them to get their heads in the game and play. Clock management is not an issue that Perspectives has to worry about. It's definitely something that Bourbonnais Bradley has to care about.
Wasted a lot of time. They did not call timeout, nor did they spike it. They wasted 10 seconds when they could have done either or. 38 seconds. Remember, clock stops briefly on a first, but you got 18 yards to go. Guard the sidelines like it's your life if you're Perspectives. Pretty good snap. Fakes the handoff. Munsterman. Deep. She's open. Completed. Inside the 10. That'll stop the clock briefly. And I think Bradley Bourbonnais called their last time out, and they did. Man, oh man, we saw it in the first game. We saw it today. The one way they can beat you is if they get behind your safety, and it happened again.
Correct, and so this is where it doesn't matter if you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, if you're fast and you can get back there and catch the ball.
Right, but I mean, knowing they only have one timeout left, force them to get in front of you. Don't let them get behind you. I know it's easier said than done, but
Way easier said than done.
Got to play a little bit better. And sometimes, remember, it's a 10-yard flag for holding. If she gets behind you, if you get beat on the double move, you might want to commit the holding call because it's only a 10-yard penalty instead of a 35-yard completion.
The holding call is really not one that I see often in flag football. Just the nature of the game.
Right.
The defense is going for the ball or for the flags. They're not just trying to hold people.
Right, to commit a penalty on purpose to not give up as much yardage.
Correct.
You'll see that more in boys football than flag football.
It's definitely more of a tackle strategy.
1st and goal at the 6. This is the game here. Probably can't run the ball because Bradley's out of timeouts. Clean pocket. I don't know if they were set. Are they going to call false start?
Yep.
False start against Bradley.
Oh, boy. Those are the pros to going under center. It's harder to commit a false start when you're under center. Shotgun, everything's got to be in rhythm, and somebody wasn't ready, either the quarterback or the center.
Yeah, but you lose under center. The center then has a harder time being eligible.
Correct.
Goal for Bradley Bourbonnais from
Darn if you do, darn if you don't.
Correct.
1st and goal at the 11. Munsterman, clean pocket. Munsterman to the end zone. She's open. Touchdown.
Totally open. That was a misread on perspectives, for sure.
She could have read the entire Harry Potter series. She was that open. But here we go. 20-20. It's not over yet. You still got to convert or we're going to overtime.
Overtime is pretty interesting in flag football as well. We can discuss that if we get there.
What do you want to do if your perspectives? Do you want to blitz here, or do you just try to go into a zone look?
You just do not let them get that ball in the end zone.
Do whatever you can.
Exactly. Blitz is usually a hard one to run at this close because...
Not a great pass, but it's completed anyways. Conversion good. And Bradley Bourbonnais is 18 seconds away from going to the state semifinals.
Yeah, sometimes the blitz, although it can be helpful, it can be harmful as well because now you're a shorter person if the quarterback's able to get the ball off pretty quick.
Look,
even though they blitzed on this one, the quarterback was unfazed.
Look, perspectives, they had it. They had 4th and 28. Just knocked the ball down. They couldn't do it.
Always comes down to just one play.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Munsterman, she threw up a prayer, and somehow it got it completed. Are we going to see the Minneapolis Miracle-esque tonight? 1st and 20 at their own 20 with 18 seconds to go. Morgan, hoping for a miracle. Morgan outside the pocket. Morgan, that's just wasting too much time. Morgan gets out of bounds. 9.8 left, Michelle. It's probably just time for pitchy woo-woo and hope for a prayer.
Yeah.
Out of bounds at the 26.
They've certainly had a great season.
I mean, they had it. I mean, they had 4th and 28. They had what they wanted, and they couldn't get the job done.
The pace of the season being so fast, the number of games played. Sometimes you get here, and as much energy as you have, you're just depleted.
9.8. Bradley Bourbonnais, somehow, some way, is most likely going to the state semifinals. Clean snap. Morgan, let's see how much arm she has. Morgan downfield. No one home, 2.1, so we will have one more play, but...
And momentum shifts. It shifted hard off that play. Definitely brought the motion, the energy behind Bradley Bourbonnais.
Let's give credit to this freshman Munsterman. Things were not going her way. It was 3rd and 17. She threw a 77-yard bomb, and she found a way to get her offense to the state semifinals. Morgan, she's got to go 74 yards. Not going to happen. Bradley Bourbonnais, incredibly, a 4th and 28 conversion, a 35-yard completion, a game-tying touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. And somehow, some way, the Boilermaker season continues.
This definitely hurts for perspectives. since they were coming into this game undefeated, first loss of the season. This is not when you want to see it.
First and only loss of the season. There's no fifth place game, so this is it for them. Crushing, but you know what? They played their hearts out, but when it's 4th and 28, there's no reason why Bradley should convert there, especially when there's 5 defenders around the ball. That's not the only reason they lost the game, but that one really hurts if you're a Perspectives fan.
Yeah.
But let's give credit to Munsterman. She throws a nice ball, even though there's 5 defenders around it. There's spiral action on that ball, and it happens. You think of the 4th and 26 play. There are Packer fans still talking about that play. And, of course, the 4th and 29 where Ray Rice somehow converted on a ball in the flat against the Chargers. It happens, Michelle, but it shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't have happened to Perspectives today.
Yeah. You can see the energy and the emotion on both sides of the teams here, right? The elation, the joy, and the heartbreak, the sadness.
That's why we hate the IHSA state quarterfinals and also why we love them. You see the joy. This is a memory they're going to remember for forever. 4th and 28. For Perspectives, they're going to hope to forget about 4th and 28, but it's going to take a while because they had it. At the same time, there were some plays they should have converted where 4th and 28, it shouldn't have happened anyways.
Yeah, they can't go home sad, though, because the fact that they made it this far in the state series first year, I mean, that's huge. 154 teams came out, were able to make it to the state series, and they're only going home with a handful left, so they can't be that sad.
They'll have a new quarterback next year. Morgan is graduating. She had a nice game. The receivers were okay. They should have made some catches. Congratulations to Bradley Bourbonnais, though. They went 22-20 some way, somehow. We're going to take a break. Our third game of our quadruple header coming up next here on NFHS Network.